Hello, this is Sizwe podcast, and my name is Agnes. I'm here with Yvonne and my co-host Patricia. I'll give Patricia a chance to introduce our guest today. Patricia.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Patricia, and today we have a wonderful lady with us, and her name is Yvonne Sekefio. And Yvonne, you can introduce yourself.
Yvonne is a consultant in immigration, and so she has all the information that you are looking for if you want to immigrate to Canada. But today we are going to concentrate on a small aspect of her job and whatever that will be good because it is an area that most of us as immigrants need it when our families call us back from home asking us information about how to immigrate to Canada. Sometimes we are short of what we need to tell them, and Yvonne is here to clear that air. And thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Agnes and Patricia, for having me here today. It's a pleasure, definitely, to be here and share some information with you. So, like they both said, my name is Yvonne Sekefio. I am an immigration consultant. I have been in the immigration field for over 20 years. I initially worked at the Canadian Embassy in Ghana for a couple of years before coming to Canada. And then after coming to Canada, I worked in what is the Alberta Provincial Nominee Program. The name has changed a few times. But now I have my own business, Canada Immigration and Beyond, CIB for short, which I've been involved in for about 6 years now. So yeah, I have loads of information to give you today, and I'm excited to be able to share that. So yeah, I'm ready to go, ladies.
You're ready to go, yes.
This is Sizwe podcast. If you just join us, today we are talking all matters immigration. Patricia.
And today we are going to concentrate on student applications.
Awesome.
There's so many ways of coming to Canada, and Yvonne, you can mention some of the different ways one can come to Canada.
So as Patricia mentioned, there's a few ways you can come to Canada. So you can either study in Canada, you can work, you can immigrate to Canada, you can be sponsored by a loved one in Canada, and you can come and visit as well. So those are the various options, and it all depends on what you want to do and what you're also eligible for. So we, as Patricia is saying, we're going to be focused on studying in Canada today.
Yes.
And that has a lot to do with students and younger people. So we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that shortly.
Okay, so for people who wish to come to Canada to study, what are some of the initial things that they need to be aware of?
So in coming to Canada, there are various things you have to think about. First of all, you want to think about in terms of studying, what program do you want to do? So one thing that is important to note is what is the program you're interested in, but also what makes sense in terms of your former education as well as your current job or your work experiences. So you always want to tailor it a little bit towards that. Secondly, the financial part is a very, very critical aspect. So you need to have that in place when you are planning this whole studying in Canada journey. It's important to know that as long as you have the financial backing, you have a good chance of getting the visa. Another thing is to make sure that you're thinking of where you're going to stay when you come to Canada. Do you know anybody here? Maybe you may want to consider going to where you have a family member or a friend. Those are some of the things. There's so many others, but those are some of the things to consider when you want to come to Canada, and whether having somebody here can be a support system for you. Because remember that you are far away from home, and you want to be as comfortable as you can be, right? Once you get here, so far away from home.
And starting as thinking of the application process, when does it start? Is there a particular time when they can start applying?
So the important thing is that it's always best to start at least 1 year ahead of the time you want to actually enter Canada.
Okay.
So if you're thinking of starting school, let's say September 2023,
Yes.
then the best time to start is now. It would have been better to even start a few months, like even if you're starting around September, trying to look into the courses you want to apply to and all that, to gather the documents necessary to be able to actually apply from late December and January. One thing to note though in terms of that is most programs for admission for September, they start closing in like April or May of that year.
Ooh.
And that's why it's always recommended to start a year
A
before.
year earlier. Yes.
Because then it gives you time, because you don't want to get to that point where you're waiting for that admission, you haven't got that admission, you haven't applied for the visa, and you're like in June.
Yeah.
Then you're in
rushing.
trouble.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you're in trouble. So start early, at least a year ahead of time.
Thank you, Yvonne. If you just join us, this is Sizwe podcast, and today we are talking all matters immigration, and we are concentrating on student visa. Most of us who are immigrants ourselves, we get a lot of questions. People call us, oh, I want to move to Canada, I want to come to Canada, I want to attend school in Canada. And sometimes we don't have all the answers for them. And today we are so privileged to have Yvonne. She has started an immigration consultant business of her own, CIP, Canada Immigration and Beyond. And we are privileged to have her in our studios. And if you get this video, you know what you're going to do? Just send it to your family members back home so that they stop grilling you with questions. I want to ask Yvonne, at what age is one not allowed to come to school in Canada, or do we have an age limit on attending school in Canada?
There's no official age limit, but the older you are, the more difficult it is for you to get the visa.
Yes.
So I always advise people that, if you're up to about 45-ish, then you have a better chance than above that. Right?
Okay.
So it's not an absolute no. It's not an absolute no, but if you're younger, towards the middle of your career, let's say, you have a better chance.
What about if I am older and I'm coming to do my PhD or something like that? Does it also matter?
So it also it doesn't matter as much, but it's let's say you are around your 50s and you're now coming to do your bachelor's degree.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
But now you've progressed through your education. You are, at a certain level in your career. You want to do a PhD. You're maybe 49, 15.
Yes.
It makes sense, right?
Sense.
So
Yes.
it's all about what makes sense.
And the program.
Exactly. The program you're coming to, the level you're coming to study.
You can't be 50 and coming to do grade 12.
No. No, that's not possible.
Yeah, you spoke about finances.
Yes.
So when it comes to finances, a lot of people have bank statement. How much should they have on the bank statement, and who can back you up financially?
In terms of financial backing, which is very, very important to your journey to study in Canada, you can be backed by 2 or 3 people. So if you have, let's say your parent has some money, maybe your aunt or uncle can support you, that is a possibility, as long as they can show that they have that financial ability to do so, right? I always say up to 2 or 3 is the best. You don't want more than that. In terms of the amount you need to have, it depends on a lot of things. So one of the things is the Canadian government wants you to have about $10,000 for your living expenses when you come to Canada for the first year. Then also, the other portion is your tuition for the first year.
The first year, yes.
So if you are lucky, you get a program that is, $8,000, let's say for the first year, that means you're looking at $18,000, right? But remember that it's not only your living expenses and your tuition, because there could be things like books, there could be things like, so you always want to have a little bit more than the exact amount. So I always tell people, look, you're looking at between $25,000 to $35,000 in your bank account.
Canadian dollars.
It can be, yes, Canadian dollars, but it can be in any
In
currency.
any currency, yes.
So even your local currency, as long as it equates to that amount,
Yes.
then it's you're good. You're good to go.
Thank you. We are just speaking to Yvonne Sakifio. She has immigration consultants in business here in Edmonton. And today we are talking all matters immigration, but we are concentrating on student visa. If you just join us, this is Sizwe podcast. We are asking Yvonne series of questions, and those who have just joined us, you missed a lot. So go to the video and you will enjoy the full questions that we are grilling here with. No, we are not. So beside, Patricia has asked about the application, the nitty-gritties of the application, the finances that you need. You need about 30,000 Canadian dollars to be here. And we are also looking at, as part of the application, what are some other processes? I remember when I was coming here as a worker, a living caregiver, and as part of the application, I have to do medicals.
Yes.
Is it also applied to people who are coming here as students?
Yes. So
okay.
Medicals is, I think, across the board for
all
applications coming to Canada.
Okay.
There are a few exemptions, of course, but yes, in the study process journey, medical is definitely needed. So you can choose to do it upfront. That means you do it before you submit, or with your application you submit it.
Okay.
Or you can wait when the immigration office has assessed your application and they're most likely going to approve you. They will send you the medical instructions for you to go and do. Now, the advantage of doing it upfront with the application is that it doesn't guarantee you that you'll be approved, but when the immigration officer gets to your file, if your medical results are in, then it's a quicker decision for you instead of now going to do the medicals at that point, right?
Awesome.
So another thing is the biometrics, which is the fingerprinting, and that is something that it's almost the moment you submit your application, you get those instructions to go and do it. So almost everybody does it at this point.
At this point, I think it's a new addition because when I was coming here, the biometric was not part of it. Yeah.
Okay. So by biometrics, a lot of people say, "What is biometrics?"
Yes, please.
Please tell us more about biometrics.
They just give me a new name.
Yes. So it's fingerprinting. It's mainly fingerprinting, where they take your fingerprints and then usually what they'll do is they'll search their system with your fingerprints to make sure you don't have if there's a criminal history or anything security-wise, criminality and security, they use that to check to make sure that you're not a threat to Canada coming into Canada, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's say now you've been accepted, you've been given the acceptance letter. What happens next?
Okay, so when you get that acceptance letter, you jump up and down with joy because it means you're almost half the way, right? So as soon as you get the admission letter, the next step is to apply for the study permit. So you need to gather all your documents. So right now, a lot of the universities after COVID are asking you to pay the first semester at least school fees. Before COVID, sometimes they could ask you for $500, or a minimum amount just to hold a spot for you and show that you're really committed to coming. But now they're asking for the first semester school fee. So depending on what your tuition is, that can range anywhere from $5,000 upwards, right? Where you have to pay to the school even before they will give you that final admission offer letter. So be prepared for that. It's not only about the bank statement, but you actually have to make a payment to get that the letter, the deposit, the tuition deposit. So once you get that, you can start getting ready for the study permit application. So you're going to need that letter of admission. You need to prepare the bank statement. All those who are going to support your application, you need to get that ready. You need to, if you decide to do the upfront medical exam, then you do it, and then it gives you a form, passport pictures, you need to get a police certificate,
Mhm.
all of that. You need to gather all those documents because they will be required for the study permit application for sure. But apply early.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, apply early, and
Mhm.
that's from Yvonne Sakifio. You know, she's speaking mostly about the immigration. There's one part that we kind of gloss over, and that is looking for the school, applying to the school to get the admission and acceptance of the school. And these are part of the documents, according to her, that you will gather, including everything that she has said, to take to whatever the immigration place in your country is, if it is a high commission or if it is, I don't know which one is in my country. I don't even know.
High commission.
The high commission, yeah. Some of them are called embassy or something like that. And then so you need a school have to accept you here in Canada. You have to get that acceptance first before then you go through all that Yvonne has talked about. And then Patricia and I were talking about like the work permit. I think most immigrants are that as the GUC part. When I come to school in Canada, would I be able to work? Because like you said, you have your auntie, your uncle, your dad, they've supported you with their bank statement, and then they've paid your coming in. How do you live? And so that's the question most of our families ask.
That makes absolute sense. It is a heavy financial burden from the beginning, but the nice thing is if you're able to get that support, at least for the first semester, you are likely to be able to do well. So once you get the study permit, you are able to work part-time for up to 20 hours per week. So 20 hours per week is part-time work in Canada. So that means that you have to, your main purpose for being in Canada is to study.
Yes.
But they're allowing you to work 20 hours to gain some Canadian experience. Now, this working is only during the school year. These 20 hours is during the school year while you are studying. Once there's a scheduled break, so like the Christmas time, like the long vacation, summertime, yes, you can work full time. So that's 30 hours or more. Now, this 30 hours usually is, if you're careful with your money, it will help you. The 20 hours is a little more difficult.
Yeah, for living.
So yes, for living and paying your expenses. So it's good to have that support when you come in, at least until you get a job and all of that. Try and have that kind of support to help you. Otherwise, studying becomes difficult, right?
Yes, yeah, and I think most people have fallen through that challenge where you have to concentrate on work to pay your rent, to pay your bus passes, and then if you don't take care, the school becomes a second problem. But then there's a caveat. If you are not able to finish your first year in good standing, what happened to your permit?
So remember that your main purpose is to study, and the schools are in contact with the immigration authorities.
Listen,
so that if you are not attending school full time, you are, dropping out, all of those will affect you ultimately. Because remember that the opportunities for you to remain in Canada and get your Canadian permanent residence is after you graduate, right? So it's important for you to get to that point, whether you're in a 1-year program, you're in a 2-year program, get to the end of your program, because after that, with a 1-year program, you get a 1-year work permit where you can work anywhere full time after you graduate.
That's so beautiful. Right? I didn't even know that. Yeah.
And if your program is 2 years or more, you get up to 3 years work permit where you can work full time for 3 years in Canada, right? To gain the Canadian experience. And during that time, there's so many programs within Canada for you to get your permanent residence.
Wow.
See?
So what is there not to like?
What is there not to like?
You just need to get to the end of it.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I think most people that come here don't even realize that. And then they grab the fact that, oh, I can work, and then you ditch the school, but you are ditching the school and you are ditching so many things that
opportunities after that.
Right. Because you need that experience, you need that record to be able to go to the next step of your plan to move to Canada.
That's right.
If you just join us, this is Sizwe podcast. It's going great. Today we are with Yvonne Sakifio. Yvonne has her own big business, Canada Immigration and Beyond. And today we are talking to her about how to immigrate to Canada as a student. And if you just join us, this is Sizwe podcast. You can watch more of what we have already talked about in the videos that we post on YouTube. And you can also come here to also tell us more about your stories. Patricia.
And Yvonne, I will take you back to the application process.
Mm-hmm.
There are times whereby the immigration will delay in processing the papers. What happens then? Let's say they delay the processing, and then I'm starting in September, and now what should the people do?
Mm-hmm. So it's very important to keep track of where your application is at. So first of all, like I mentioned before, apply early.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself time to go through the process, right? Secondly, when you're getting to the point where your school is about to start, what happens is that the colleges and universities are sending messages to students who have been admitted, telling them, the deadline to enroll is coming up if you haven't enrolled by a certain date.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a deferral deadline.
Okay.
So if you are seeing that you're not getting a response from the immigration office, make sure you defer your program to the next academic semester.
Okay.
So if you are admitted for September, let's say, and
The
you're not
visa is
hearing
delayed,
by
yeah.
August, you're not hearing anything towards the end of August, you should be deferring till January if the program is available.
Okay.
Sometimes you find the program that you've been admitted to is
right.
not available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're looking at September the following year,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So unfortunately, because of COVID, there's been a lot of backlog. Things have sped up a little bit recently, but you could get to the time school have started and you don't have your visa. So you have to be proactive
Yes.
in
Start early.
maintaining your admission so that you can use it for whenever the next opportunity is. Mm-hmm.
I have a last question. I don't know if you have a last question, but my question is, does it affect you when you are refused a first visa? That I got the admission and I provided everything, but my visa was denied. Can I reapply?
You can reapply as many times as you want.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's your money. But one thing that is important to do is a lot of times the refusal letter that you get doesn't tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always best to request your immigration file.
Oh.
So that's something you can do with the help of an immigration consultant such as myself.
Awesome.
Because a lot of times when you're outside the country, it's hard to be able to do that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get your immigration files, you actually see what the immigration officer's notes say
yes.
about your application and why it was refused.
Awesome.
So with that, you are armed to be able to reapply, and then you can address all those concerns that the officer has, so it makes it better for you to be approved the next time.
Guys, this is gold, and we are getting it for free. Remember, if you go to CIB, there's a fee to pay, and so we will ask Yvonne if there's any other thing that she wants to add to it, her last word, and where we can find her. We need her.
So what I would like to say is that there's a lot of opportunities in Canada, and coming through the student route opens up doors for you that you can really stabilize your life in Canada, because one, you would have had the Canadian education, so it makes it easier for you to get a job. And once you have that work experience from the time you were in school and the time after you graduate, it puts you in a good standing to get a good job once you graduate. So this is something that is possible if you are able to get that financial backing. Definitely, I recommend you go ahead with the application. So we are Canada Immigration and Beyond. I'm the owner and operator. It's CIB Immigration for short. We are located in Edmonton, but we work with people around the world.
Awesome.
We are available on WhatsApp, 780-907-8121. You can message us on WhatsApp. We will guide you step by step. We help you with the admission to schools and then the visa process. So we are a full holistic service provider. So reach out to us and we will guide you step by step. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yvonne.
Thank you for having me.
Yvonne doesn't only process for students, but she does a lot of applications. So if you need any immigration help, Yvonne is here, CIPC Beyond.
And we will put her information underneath this video when we post it so you wouldn't get lost. Find her. Thank you so much. This is Sizwe Podcast, and today you heard from these three beautiful ladies, including me. My name is Agnes. This is Yvonne
And I'm Patricia.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
joining
so
us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.